support of our federal and state and local 2024 primary elections and by-state election processes that are currently going on in your current states. We do have some DA civilians who work here and military personnel who work here at Fort Sill or serve here at Fort Sill, but we're not from this state of Oklahoma, and may choose to want to vote in their home of record states across the U.S. and or to include those service members who and DA civilians who currently are abroad, either serving overseas or are deployed. So I want to kind of give you a visual picture here. I've got a slide that's up. I want to kind of give you an understanding of our Fort Sill Voting Action Plan timeline. This is in conjunction to provide visibility to you, the audience. Reference third quarter, which is currently right now, and then when fourth quarter comes in, which is generally July, August, and September, and as we lead into first quarter of fiscal 25, which is October through December. But I want to start off with third quarter. So if you look at this slide at the bottom, you'll see two lines from the bottom left to the top right. The first one is the Army Voting Action Plan. On that line, I want to kind of hit some of the red stars that you see there. Obviously, the first one is the Army VAO providing voting information to the current assigned units here on installation, and that pretty much is information that the Army's voting office provides to our installation voting assistance officer, which is Captain Alexis. The first highlight, though, I want to kind of bring into your picture, your attention, is we are currently about to go into the month of June. Obviously, that's on Saturday. That's the 1st of June. But during the end of the month of June starts the Army Voting Assistance Week. And that's between the 24th and the 28th of the month. Currently, right now, the units on installation for the month of April are in preparation. This is all 5 brigades to include our NCOA, Non-Commissioned Officer Academy, and our supporting tenant units. We're in preparation of providing support tools for you, the service member, DA civilians, and all family members on post who would like to vote during this voting season. You notice it's fiscal 24. This is an election time window for this year, and there's a lot of benchmarks I want to kind of hit. So everything that you see indicated on that top Army Voting Action Plan line, bottom left to top right, that has a red star, is the Army's voting window for our DA civilians and service members to be able to understand when those windows are. We'll start off with the next one. So in third quarter, as I said, we've got the 24th to 28th June Army Voting Assistance Week. Then in fourth quarter, 1 through 8 August is the Military Spouses Voters Week. And then we've got the 30 September deadline for deployed personnel to submit their absentee ballots. Right? There's a process for each one of these Army voting benchmarks, and your units on ground as we go out going into first quarter, when we talk about first quarter 25, 1 through 8 October for absentee voters week. And then we get into the 6 October deadline for requesting those absentee ballots for continental U.S., that's CONUS, service members and DA civilians, as well as OCONUS who are serving overseas at this time, whether they're deployed on a YS tasker and or are currently stationed abroad, Germany, whatever country that the U.S. has a military installation, which is on 28 October. As we go out to the last 2 stars you see for November and January of 25. The focal point here is, I would like for you all to understand, is that prior to those red stars, your brigade unit voting assistance officers will be conducting on-ground workshops within your brigade areas of operation, or your brigade footprints, or areas that your units are at. And those workshops are workshops that direct you to the federal voting, the FVAP.gov website. There on that website, you'll be able to get all the information that you will need to assist you when it comes to starting off with your understanding, identifying your 2024 primary elections by state and territory information. meaning those dates and when those actual state and local and federal election dates are going to be, in order for you to do your registration process and actually work through going through and navigating that website, which we'll talk here in a couple of minutes. But 30 days prior to those red star dates are when your brigades are conducting also on-ground voting workshops to support you and provide you the tools and materials that you will need in order to assist you in your voting process if you choose to vote. All right, so I wanted to just kind of give you another visual. If you look down at the lower line, bottom left to top right, which is the Fort Sill Voting Action Plan. I'm not going to go over it all. You can see it all laid out here. I just want to kind of get some key points. Over the next few quarters, two quarters, as we continue fiscal 24 and go into fiscal 25, we're going to conduct some Fort Sill Facebook Live voting town halls. Each of these town halls will be 30 minutes, i.e. such as what we're doing here right now today. Each of those town halls will focus on one of those major Army muscle movements for Voters Week in support of preparation to provide you the tools and direct you to resources that you will need to be able to conduct your voting processes, registration, and etc. So I'm just going to highlight a few of them at the bottom as you go out here when we start talking about the one we're doing here. I know it was originally planned on the 29th, but we're doing it on the 30th. The next one upcoming is on 18 July. And the reason why we're doing that one, 18 July 1500, is to kind of give a preparation to kind of give you visibility on the upcoming Military Spouses Voters Week. So that way we can kind of give you the things that your spouses, and that's not just military, that's also your DA civilians and any government contractors that we have on installation that come and go and work on post to ensure that we provide them the proper voting tools. And as we go further out, you can see going into August and then also going into November. The main premise of giving you visibility of this action plan is to show you that there is a plan, there is a process. Now, obviously, implied to that specified information on this slide are some internal brigade unit voting assistant officers and the installation voting assistant officer actions that they have to do to provide you the tools. What's not on this slide is that building 4700, the in and out processing building where MPD is, on that first floor, down past the ID card section, is the installation voting assistance office in room 127 N as a highlight. At that office, you'll find Captain Alexis. He's the installation voting assistance officer appointed by the Chief of Staff for Fort Sill and supported by the Commanding General of the installation. But there you can get all your manual documents that you need for registration or ballots if you do not have the time to be able to go on the FVAP.gov website to be able to draw those electronically. But if you do go on the website, which I'll talk here in a minute, on that website, you'll also have the mailing information per your particular state. So at this time, I'm going to transition to something I think will be valuable to, example, I know I'm a lieutenant colonel now, but if I was Private Parker and I needed to get on to figure out where I needed to go to vote, I think having a list of all the pertinent websites based off of subjects that will assist me, that ties me into the FVAP.gov, the government's voting website, to be able to find my particular state for my primary elections information and or forms, i.e. registration, step 1 through 25, the ballots based off it, and to include addresses where my ballots need to be sent. That link that you see there on that list kind of lays those out for you. Now, I won't go through all of them from top to bottom, but I kind of try to give you visibility where you go step 1. Where do I go if I want to register to vote? That's the first line on the top where you can go right to that website, and those are live websites that you can click onto, which will take you to the FVAP.gov website to be able for you to navigate to find all the information you need in order to execute that particular subject matter. At the bottom of that scorecard, the Fort Sill Soldier Voting Scorecard, which over time I'm going to continue to add more websites on with more topics to support your voting needs. At the bottom currently lists out who your unit voting assistant officers are and their Army military numbers. If you need to get more specific detailed information about voting during this fiscal year of 24. All right, so at this time, what I would like to do is kind of go into a transition and introduce you to the ladies and gentlemen that we have currently sitting at the table today. Now, bear in mind, we don't have all the brigades here present today, but generally we conduct monthly meetings with them to provide information to them to push out to your units and your formations, as well as the DA civilians that are assigned to those prescribed assignments. So just wanted to kind of make sure that you are fully aware of this. So at this time, I'm going to introduce you to, again, Captain Alexis. He's the Installation and Voting Assistant Officer. He is currently in Building 4700, Room 127N. And I'm going to turn it over to 434 for a quick introduction.
Good afternoon. I'm Sergeant Roush with 434 Brigade. I am the primary UVAO. I could be reached at 580-442-3755. We will be giving our workshop to our battalions tomorrow, 31 May at 1300. We'll be going over the timeline, the voting workshop brief, by-state voting assistance tools, understanding the law, the voting process, documents, metrics, primary election dates by state, prohibited activities overview, and resources. And again, this is an open workshop. Anyone is invited. If anyone has any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, well, I appreciate that.
Good afternoon. I'm Sergeant First Class Corey Rivera. I'm the VAO for the NCO Academy here at Fort Sill. My alternate is Sergeant First Class Marcus Fultz, and him and I, we just recently did a workshop May 10th, and we held this workshop for all our DoD civilians and cadre at the Non-Commissioned Officer Academy to really just push out general information, but primarily for them to understand and to assist them filling out the FPCA, the Federal Post Card application, and then give more information about the FVAP, the Federal Write-In Absentee Ballot. And we actually had a good turnout. We had 55 out of 68 personnel show up. We had 12 of those 55 personnel actually submit their FPCAs. So one of the main issues and questions that we got from our workshop is, how confusing, information is getting pushed out at an organizational level. Community team, I promise you, the FPCA takes you 2 to 5 minutes to fill out. It is very simple, and if you do need assistance, everybody within this room, if you cannot reach out to your voting assistance officer, we are willing to help. So our next NCOEA workshop is on June 5th from 09 to 10, building 3668 at the Schwartz Road. It's near the NCO Academy. It's called the Reardon Room. Again, everybody's welcome. And we're going to go again by general information and then going through these applications. Our number for the staff duty is 580-442-2417, and ask for Sergeant First Class Rivera. I appreciate y'all time.
Good afternoon. My name is First Lieutenant Mac Ardoin. I am the Brigade Voting Assistance Officer for 75th Field Artillery Brigade. Our workshop was conducted on 29 May. The overall turnout was really well. The presentation was very well. Topics we touched on were how to properly fill out the forms when registering a vote and casting your ballot. We also demonstrated to all the soldiers on how to navigate through the FVAP.gov website to where they can locate and identify information specific to their state and or territory. Our next workshop is scheduled to be conducted on 30th June, where we will conduct and touch on similar topics as discussed yesterday. Again, my name is First Lieutenant Ardoin, and I can be reached directly at 580-442-4146. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Cam Doherty. I'm filling in for 31st Brigade. I'm currently the 5.5 ADA battalions, VAO. But however, since a lot of my 31st Brigade units are currently deployed at our workshop on 11 June, 1500, we're going to go ahead and work on all those forms for the when you're away, essentially the absentee ballots, and then also working with a lot of the spouses as well so they can get in there, focusing primarily on all the states. So that's our main focus for the 11-1500 workshop.
Okay, so one, I want to thank you all for your time. You know, bottom line, we got a lot of things going on. We all got day jobs. We appreciate everybody's acknowledgement of this town hall. We're continuing to conduct further other ones further as we go along per quarter. And I want to appreciate the unit voting assistance officers for being present today to give you some visibility. What I will highlight also is I want to kind of talk, since we've got a little bit more time, I want to take about 5 minutes to go over some key points for voters registration. As I mentioned that for 2024 primary elections by state and territory, and going on the FVAP website. So let's just talk about a couple of things for the registration portion, okay? For you as family members, service members, and DA civilians. So for voter registration deadlines, okay? Now that website is going to talk to you about multiple things. It's a live website. You can go on it as we're talking right now, excuse me, or you can go on and look at it when you have the time. But voters will have to register within their respective states no later than 30 days prior to any election, local or national. That's the bottom line up front for you guys to understand. Voters in each state and territory must follow their voter registration laws because each state is different. Example, you could be stationed here in Oklahoma, but you're from Minnesota, and you want to vote and do your registration and fill out your ballot for submission for whatever your state primary is or a national primary. You can do all of that on the actual FVAP.gov website as per the links that I've highlighted to you on your scorecard. But you still need to pay attention that the registration timelines are different. So I would encourage you, meaning you, the live audience that's out there, to take a look at, if you are wanting to vote during fiscal year 24, take a look at your state's registration timeline. Because some states are now, some states will be next month, some states will be the month or at the end of June. So I would encourage you to take a look at it again. I say again, you take a look at your state's registration time frame on that, because every state except but North Dakota requires citizens to register if they want to vote. Some states require voters to register up to 30 days before an election, while others do not. So just pay close attention to those state and local rules, okay? Now, if you are, in some cases, you want to vote and you are stationed here, i.e. a military service member stationed here or a DA civilian who works here on post, or you are a spouse or family member and you choose that, okay, well now I moved to Oklahoma and I want to vote here in Oklahoma. In the city of Lawton, there's 2 voting locations. Get with your UVAO to find out those locations and the voting registration timeframes for you to get down there and for you to vote. All right, so as we go out, I want to give you a couple other little highlights. Voter registration card. That's you complete your state voter registration card online. When you register to vote, you'll be sent a voter registration card, whether it's via by mail. This card confirms that you are registered and ready to vote. That's your registration card for either Oklahoma or your particular state. You can get all the specific details on that website. Again, FVAP.gov. Your voter registration card typically includes your name, your home address, and the address of the polling station where you will either vote. Now understand, in some cases, you can do it online and do your voting after you register and get your voter's card. You can either do your voting because it has a number on that voter's card. You can do your voting by mail, or like some soldiers do, or DA civilians, They work here on its Fort Sill, but they go home on leave or pass to vote during their local and or national election time windows. Pay attention to that, all right? And it'll also highlight on your registration card what type of identification you need if you're either going to do a mail-in vote, because there's requirements for that, and or if you are going to physically be present to go to a voting site in your state of choice. So just make sure that you kind of pay close attention to some of that information as we go along. Now understand there are some other requirements that we all need to pay close attention to, but I encourage you as we go out, every single month from now, i.e. when we talk about April, all the way out to, I would say, in this case, November of this year, of 2024, every month, every brigade on installation, 434, 30th, 428, 75th, 31st, to include IMCOM, U.S. Army Garrison, to include the NCOA Academy, and all lieutenant units will be participating, or they will be providing a voters workshop each month. I encourage you to participate, stop by, and they'll put out those actual prescribed times. If you don't know, call the number. The number is on your Fort Sill Soldiers voting card. It's at the bottom. I'll give you your POC and your contact number. Give them a call, inquire, ask the questions, get out there and vote. It's easy to do. You, as a U.S. citizen, you, as a military personnel, you, as a DA civilian, you, as a military spouse or family member, if you are in the city of Lawton, or stationed on this post, or live on this post, and you would like to vote during fiscal year 2024, that scorecard would help you with directing you to all the information you need via web link, whether it be absentee ballot, whether it be physically present, or mailing it in. So I want to just give you that highlight there. You can see I'm kind of pumped up for this. So I want to make sure that you all know where to go. So I ask all of your due diligence and assistance in ensuring that we kind of work to ensure that the information is transparent. You know where to go. And if you have any questions in light of the voting for this year, for your particular state, I would ask that you get with your unit voting assistance officer. On that scorecard, there is a 2024 primary elections by state and territory web link. Right? On that web link, will list out when your state and local primary dates are. On that website, I would tell you 30 days before that date, you should already be registered. Now, you can be allowed to register up to the actual date of that electoral time period, but I recommend that you already have your stuff in play, because you may have to make a decision on if you're going to mail it in or you're going to physically show up and eyeball that voting location. Follow what I'm saying? So just pay attention to all those little things. And again, I don't want to take up all of your time today. I appreciate your participation. I kind of wanted to put this in a 30-minute window. So right now I've got about 10 minutes I want to kind of use for some question and answers that you may have for either me, the Fire Center of Excellence is G1, G4, or the Installation Voting Assistance Officer, or any of your current who are present here today, unit voting assistance officers. But I appreciate your time standing by for your questions.
Sir, we have one comment. It's from Greg Granlund. Thank you for this. I never voted while I was serving because I didn't know how. This information wasn't provided to me back in 1977. Hey, Greg, thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service, Greg. One last highlight, if there's anybody else that I will take about 2 minutes to allow anyone else, if they're pondering a question about voting, all I can tell you is that scorecard will lead you in the right direction. And understand, from now as we go out in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months, that scorecard is going to be added with more additional information for voting subjects and website links for you to tap into the FVAP.gov website. Vote fiscal year 2024. Appreciate everybody's time and attention.